video, I'm going to show you how to make a post for your garden hose. Now, the supplies that you're going to need for this project is a metal stake. This will go into the ground and hold your post. This is a 30-inch medium duty. The one that you just saw, the sample that I already made for the garden hose, that one was done with a 24-inch, but when I went back to Home Depot to pick up another one, they only had 30-inch. So either one would work, but the 24-inch is a little better priced. Then you also need a 4x4. I got this at Home Depot. It came in a 6-foot length. I had them cut it down to a 3-foot, so I actually got 2 posts out of it. And then the decorative pieces to put on the top. These come in a bunch of different shapes, so you just got to choose the one that you want. And it is a Deco Rail 4x4 Hampton flat top cedar. You'll need some wood glue, spray paint. I'm using satin white, but you can use any color you want. You also need a hook for your garden hose and some screws. I've got a wrench here because the screws I'm using require a wrench, and these are screws for outdoor use, so they won't rust. And then optional, but it makes it a lot easier if you have a drill and some drill bits. Now, the hook for your hose, I'm not going to say I honestly recommend this one. There's so many hooks out there. You can get some that are for your garage, for hanging bikes, for hanging different things inside your garage. So if you look around, you might find a better option. If you'll notice, this is kind of in 2 pieces. I didn't realize it until after I bought it that it was pretty long going down, which meant if I attach this to the 4x4 post, it was going to hang pretty low. With these two together, it was going to hang pretty low, and that meant the hose was going to kind of drag onto the ground. So I ended up cutting it to make it a lot shorter so that I can attach it higher. Again, these 2 pieces were attached, and then I just hammered down the top of it, and I had to create a secondary hole. That hole right there was not there. It had this hole, sorry, it had that hole and the hole up on top. But because I wanted 2 holes and I'd cut off the top piece, I had to drill a second hole, so I just used the drill and my drill bit to drill a second hole. So you might find a better hook than the one that I'm using. The first thing you want to do is dig your hole. Now, you don't really need to dig it. That stake can be just hammered into the ground with like a sledgehammer, but if you decide to do that, I would make sure you're using like a heavy-duty piece of wood on top of the metal post, because you don't want to damage the top of that post, because your 4x4 slides right into the top, and if it's damaged, you might not be able to slide it in there. So if you go that route, make sure that you use a heavy-duty piece of wood on top of it before slamming it in. You can also dig a hole and just put some concrete inside there, mix some concrete and put it in there, and then you don't even need the metal post. I dug the hole even though I was using the metal post because I noticed that I had some pipes coming from my house that were leading out. This is where the water kind of drains from inside the house and comes out, and they're buried underground. And I was just concerned that I might possibly, if I just pounded the metal post into the ground, I might actually puncture one of the pipes, not knowing where exactly they were. So that's why I chose to dig the hole, and I'm going to stick the post inside of the hole. I'm going to go through this step by step how to do this project, but I'm not going to actually do the project. I was going to put a second post over in this area, but I've decided now that I'm not going to do that, and I'm going to explain to you why at the end of this video. But the first thing that you want to do is take your post and your 2 decorative pieces, and you want to spray paint them the color of your choice. Once you've done that, and while it's drying, you can go ahead and dig your hole for your post. Now, I've dug the hole pretty deep, but I know it's not deep enough for the post, but at least deep enough that I know I'm not going to hit any pipes that I might have in the ground. So from here, I can press this in with my hands enough At least I was able to on the last one. If not, I'd dig it a little bit deeper, but I was able to just press it down, and then as it got closer to the ground, I was able to just stand on it to get it down further that I needed. So I would go ahead and do that, and I would get it to the point where I have at least all of that into the ground, and this part, I did cover it so that it wasn't exposed, but this part can either be exposed or covered. As you can see here, mine is covered for the most part. You can see it a tiny bit. But what you want to do is make sure your hole on the top is a little bit wider than the hole going down, because once you finish putting this post into the ground to the length of where you want it, then you're going to want to put your post into the slot that's right there. And it does fit right in there. It's made for this, a 4x4, so it fits right inside there. I'm not going to do it, but it does fit right inside there. And then you want to tighten these screws, and that's what's going to keep your post in place, tightening these up. But since I was burying mine, I had to make the hole wide enough at the top so that I had room to put a tool in there and tighten these up, which will make this slot opening smaller. And once I tightened it, then I packed up more of the dirt around the hole and inside, obviously, because the hole is much wider than this, and filled it back up with all the dirt. So at this point, you should have your post in the ground and your 4x4 in next. And once your 4x4 is in there, you then tighten up these screws, pack it around with the dirt, and then the next thing you want to work on is your two decorative pieces. You want to come back to these and get a drill bit in your drill, and make sure the drill bit's just slightly smaller than the size of the screw that's on your decorative piece. And you want to drill a hole right down the middle of this for two reasons. One, it's going to help to screw this piece in evenly centered on this piece. And it also is going to help that you don't crack this piece while screwing it in if you've pre-drilled a hole. So you want to do that. So these two pieces should then be put together. The next thing you want to do before you attach these two pieces to the top of your 4x4, you want to put your hook on first. Now again, this hook was pretty long, and I needed to cut it down. That's where this hammer and this cloth came. I was using that to pound down the top of this. I don't know if you can see it, but to pound that down so that it kind of was pounded down similar to this one. And then I had to insert another hole, which I used my drill and a drill bit to make a second hole, because otherwise I would have only had one hole, and the hose is pretty long and heavy, so I wanted to make sure I had two screws screwed into the 4x4. So you might find a better hook, but the next thing you want to do is take your hook and attach it to your 4x4, which should already be in the ground and securely attached to the metal bracket. So once you've done that, then once you've screwed this in, then you can attach these two pieces, which should already be put together and already spray painted. And this is made for a 4x4, so it'll sit right in there. So all you're doing is applying the glue to the top of this, and then you're placing this right inside of it, and just pressing down on it. And then that's completed. The project's pretty much done. Now, the reason I decided not to complete it is because I decided just to take the second hook and just attach it to the other side. Now, I'm going to offset it a little, go a little bit lower than where this one's attached on this side, just so that the screws don't meet up with each other. So I'm going to offset it slightly, but instead I think I'm just going to attach it on the other side and hang both of the hose that I have to the one stand. If you don't have a second hose, it still looks nice doing this, and you can use this to hang other things that you might have outside. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this project, and then I will show you the finished product. Here's the finished post. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked this video.